very much. Hello, I'm Alexander Armstrong, and this is Pointless, the quiz show where the lowest scorers are the biggest winners. To stay in the game, our contestants need to score as few points as possible. And the way they do that is by giving those obscure answers that everyone else forgets. We've asked all our questions on Pointless to 100 people before the show. All our contestants need to do is find those little-known answers that as few of our 100 people gave as possible. So, for example, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Test cricket grounds as they could, and we found out that 86 of them said Lords, an obvious answer that would score you a horribly high 86 points. However, only 23 of them said Sydney Cricket Ground, a less obvious ground that would score you a respectably low 23 points. Now, occasionally there are even some answers that none of our 100 people could name. So, for example, none of them said Brisbane Cricket Ground. So that would have been a truly pointless ground, and that would score you absolutely nothing. Now, that's just what we want. If we find any of those, then we will add £250 to today's jackpot. OK, let's meet today's players. So welcome, Louise and Catherine. You are our first pair on the show. How do you two know each other?
We're sisters. We're from Nottingham, and Catherine's always looked out for me and tried to keep me on the straight and narrow.
Very good. Well, very best of luck to you this afternoon.
Thank you.
On to our next pair, Heather and Davey. It is your second and final chance on the show. Remind us who you are.
We're from Belfast. This is my husband, David, and we've been married for 10 years.
Very good indeed. Remind us how you got on last time.
We were slightly derailed, shall we say.
You were. I know, the London Underground.
Yeah.
That was what did for you.
Just unlucky.
Just unlucky. Bad luck. Philip and Phil, you are our third pair today. Welcome to the show. How do you two know each other?
Alex, hi, yeah. Myself and Phil worked together, done that for 13 years.
Is it a company of Phils?
It was. We used to be, yeah. There's quite a lot, and it does cause some confusion as well with the same emails and one thing and another. But
so what you say is, I know what we'll do. We'll each wear purple shirts. That way, nobody will...
yeah, we won't go there with that.
Best of luck for this afternoon. OK, welcome to Graham and Ian. How do you two know each other?
We met at university. We've known each other about 15 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Very good. Where were you at university?
Nottingham.
Nottingham.
Yes.
Bit of a conspiracy here. Very good. Well, very best of luck to you. I hope you do well this afternoon. And welcome back to Mina and Deborah. This is your second and final chance on the show as well. Remind us how you two know each other.
We went to school together, so we've known each other for 17 years.
Best of luck this afternoon. Of course, there is one final person I must introduce. He's the man in the know, the man with all the pointless facts and figures. It's my pointless friend, Richard. So, Richard, the best of afternoons to you.
Yeah, and to you too. As you say, I've got all the questions and answers for today's show right here. At the end of each question, guys, I'll take you through all the pointless answers, the things you should have said, the things that no one of our 100 said. Also, if you're playing along at home, you'll find out how you've done there. I'll also go through some of the obvious answers, the things that everybody in our 100 said. Alexander doesn't know any of the questions or answers on today's show. We've got 3 new couples, but I think Mina and Deborah, they were through to the head-to-head last time. I think they'll be looking to go one further and into the jackpot round. So good luck, everybody, and good luck, everyone at home.
Last time, Mick and Martin didn't manage to win the jackpot of £2,250. That jackpot hasn't been won in the last 2 shows, so it rolls over to today's jackpot, and the total now is £3,250. And we really are hoping that one of our pairs will be taking it home at the end of today's show. And remember, if you find any pointless answers along the way, each one of those will add £250 to that amount. Let's play Pointless. In the first round, each of you must give me one answer, and you cannot confer with your partner. You will score 1 point for every one of the 100 people that gave that same answer. And remember, this is Pointless. You are trying to find the least well-known answers and score the fewest points. Now, if anybody gives me an incorrect answer, they will, I'm afraid, score the maximum of 100 points. So do please be careful. If you do give an incorrect answer, this will happen. And you really don't want to see that. At the end of the round, your combined score will be totalled up and the highest scoring pair will be eliminated. Only 2 pairs obviously make it through to our head-to-head semi-final, so the pressure is really on. Our first category this afternoon is comedies. Can you all decide in your pairs who's going to go first and who's going to go second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Right, let's find out what our first question is going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Carry-On films as they could. Richard, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, we're looking for any of the 30 original Carry-On films, all directed by Gerald Thomas and produced by Peter Rogers. We're not looking for TV shows and clip compilations, just the classic Carry-On films.
Right, Catherine and Louise, before the show you all drew lots, and today it turns out that you will be starting us off. Catherine, we're looking for Carry-On films. The more obscure, the better.
Carry On Sergeant.
Carry On Sergeant. If it's a wrong answer, of course, you will score the maximum of 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Sergeant. It's the right answer. It's very good. That means 10 of our 100 people said Carry On Sergeant. That starts Catherine and Louise off with a lovely low score of 10. On to our next pair. We're looking for Carry On films. Heather, what are you going to give me?
I think I'm going to go with one that I've seen many, many years ago. Carry On, Follow That Camel.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said that. It's good. It's very good. That means only 2 of our 100 people said, Carry On, Follow That Camel. Good work, Heather. On to our next pair. Philip, we're looking for Carry On films.
Right, I've got 2 in my mind, and I'm going to go for the one I think's the oldest, which is Carry On Dick.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Dick. That's correct. It's very good. That means 9 of our 100 people said Carry On Dick. These are all very low scores. On to our next pair. Graham, we're looking for Carry On films.
There were very low scores, but since I only know one, it's Carry On Up the Khyber, so I'm going to have to stick with that.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Up the Khyber. It's a correct answer. That means 67 of our 100 people said Carry On Up the Khyber. That takes Graham and Ian into a worrying lead. On to our final pair. Deborah, we're looking for Carry On films. The more obscure, the better.
I only know one, and it's going to be really, really popular. Carry On Camping.
Well, we'll see how popular it is. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Camping. Well, that's good news for Graham and Ian. That means 76 of our 100 people said Carry On Camping, and that takes you up to the highest score. OK, we are halfway through the round. Let's have a look at the scoreboards and see where we are. Obviously, Heather and Davey looking extremely strong on only 2 there. 3 scores at 10 and under, all of those looking pretty good. The other pairs, though, Graham and Ian on 67, Mina and Deborah on 76. These are really very high scores and way out ahead of the others. So you're going to have to try and score as low as you possibly can on the next pass. OK, we're going to come back up the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Mina, we are looking for Carry On films.
I have watched quite a few of the Carry On films, late at night on like BBC Two and so on, back in the day. The one I'm going to go for, I think, was actually in colour as well, so like one of the later ones, but I think it's Carry On Columbus.
Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Columbus. You are the highest scorers. This has to be a low score for you to stay in the game. Not bad. Not bad at all. That means 11 of our 100 people said Carry On Columbus. That takes your score up to 87. Let's hope that is low enough for you to get through to the next round. Richard, Carry On Columbus.
Yeah, Carry On Columbus is actually the one they made a spectacularly ill-advised comeback, the Carry On films, in the 90s. And Carry On Columbus starred Julian Clary.
Ian, you are on 67 points. To avoid becoming the high scorers and being eliminated at the end of the round, you have to score 19 or less with this answer.
The only one I can think of is Carry On Nurse.
There's your red line. If you get below that red line, you are through to the next round. Above that red line, You are our high scorers and risk being eliminated. Let's see how many of our 100 people said carry on nurse. Well, it's correct. It's nearly good enough. It's not quite good enough. That means 38 of our 100 people said carry on nurse. That takes your total up to 105. On to our next pair. Phil. You are low scorers at the moment on 9. Graham and Ian are our high scorers, way out ahead on 105, looking quite dangerous there. You have to score 95 or less with this answer to remain in the show.
Well, I've got two in my mind, Alex. One is a really obvious one, and one that I'm not even sure is a carry-on film. So I'm going to have to go with this sort of like the obvious choice, really, just to try and keep us in the game. That's Carry On Doctor.
There is your red line. If you are below that red line, you're through to the next round. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Doctor. It's good.
Yes!
Very good. That means 21 of our 100 people said carry on doctor. That takes your score up to 30. You are through to the next round. On to our next pair, our low scorers, Davy and Heather. Davy, you are on 2. There's no way you can lose. You're definitely through to the next round. Whatever happens, even if you score 100 points, you still won't overtake Ian and Graham on 105. Why not see if you can go for a pointless answer and add 250 quid to the jackpot?
Okay, well, I've two in my mind. One I know was a definite carry-on movie. The other one, I think.
Take a punt. Why not?
I'm going to have a punt. I'm going to say carry on at your convenience.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said carry on at your convenience. It's the right answer. It's very good. There we are. That means only 10 of our 100 people said carry on at your convenience. That takes your total score up to a very impressively low 12. So carry on at your convenience, Rich.
Yeah, as it suggested, it's set in a lavatory factory, the ultimate example of toilet humour.
On to our final pair. Louise, you are on 10. You're not out of the woods. You have to score 94 or less with this answer to remain in the game. What are you going to give me? We're looking for carry-on films.
I've got to go for an old personal favourite that used to really scare me when I was a child, and that's Carry On Screaming.
There is your red line. Below that red line, and you are through to the next round. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Carry On Screaming. You're through to the next round. Very good answer. That means 18 of our 100 people said Carry On Screaming. That brings your total up to 28 points. So at the end of round 1, the losing pair with the highest score, I'm afraid, is Graham and Ian. Bad luck, guys. What category would you have liked there? What would have been a really good one for you?
Beer.
Okay.
Or sport.
Probably. Beer or sport? Okay, very good. Richard, it wasn't beer or sport, was it? It was carry-on films.
It wasn't. It's nice to have a male cliche on the show every now and again. Beer or sport is pretty much what we know. There were no pointless answers, so there were no answers that no one in our 100 got, but there were some fairly obscure ones. Carry On Emmanuel, which was the last film before Carry On Columbus. Emmanuel didn't kill it, Columbus did. Carry On Follow That Camel, we've had, which is a fantastic answer we had from Heather. And Carry On Spying. Let's take a look at the most obvious answers. Some of these will be familiar. In third place, it was Carry On Again Doctor, which actually turned out to be a more obvious answer than Carry On Doctor. Loads more people said that. Graham gave us Carry On Up the Khyber. Deborah, you gave us the most popular answer of all, which was Carry On Camping, but you're safely through anyway.
Thanks very much, Richard. OK, Graham and Ian, remember, everyone gets 2 chances to reach our pointless final, so we will see you again next time for your final chance. But meanwhile, thanks so much for playing. OK, guys, the round 2 category is royalty. Can you decide in your pairs who's going to go first, who's going to go second? Right, and whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Now remember, Pointless is all about scoring the fewest points. You need to rack your brains for those obscure and unheard of answers you think the fewest of our 100 people said. With that in mind, let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many people that have married into the House of Windsor as they could. Richard, can you be any more specific?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We're looking for anybody who's married into the royal family since George V came to the throne, so anyone who's married into the House of Windsor. There are 39. One person we're not going to allow is George V's wife, Mary of Teck. They have to be a descendant of George V. So anyone who's married into the House of Windsor since then.
OK, thank you very much. Louise and Catherine, you are first. Louise, we are looking for people who've married into the House of Windsor.
I think mine's going to be quite a high-scoring one because my brain's gone dead. I only think of Philip, as in Prince Philip.
OK, we are looking for nice, obscure people who've married into the House of Windsor. You're saying someone called Philip, Prince Philip. Well, if it's correct, let's see how many of our 100 people said Prince Philip. It's correct. Well, it's not. That means only 28 of our 100 people said Prince Philip. That's not a bad score to kick off round 2. On to our next pair, Heather. We are looking, in case you've forgotten, for people who have married into the House of Windsor.
Okay, the only one that really springs to mind was the guy that married Princess Margaret. I think he was called Lord Snowdon, so I'll go with that.
Lord Snowdon. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Lord Snowdon. Good. Very good answer. That means 24 of our 100 people said Lord Snowdon. Richard.
Yeah, Lord Snowdon, otherwise known as Anthony Armstrong-Jones, who married Princess Margaret.
Thank you very much. On to our next pair, Phil and Philip. Phil, we are looking
Alex.
for a pointless royal in the House of Windsor, someone who married into the House of Windsor.
The only one I can think of is Captain Mark Phillips.
Philip, you see, you're sticking with Phillips. Phillips. What is it?
I stayed with that.
You like a secret society or something? I don't know. I always see him in a lilac shirt as well, I seem to think. Anyway, let's see how many of our 100 people said Captain Mark Phillips. That's a correct answer. That means 31 of our 100 people said Captain Mark Phillips. That gives you, I have to say, an unlikely lead of 31. Captain Mark Phillips, he's our highest scorer yet.
Captain Mark Phillips, yeah, married to Princess Anne, of course.
Very good. Thanks, Richard. And finally, Mina. We are looking for people who've married into the House of Windsor. The scores are pretty low at this stage. We want a really nice, obscure one from you, please.
I don't have any obscure ones. My knowledge of the royal family is absolutely shocking. So I'm just going to go with Camilla Parker Bowles.
Camilla Parker Bowles. Well, let's see how many of our 100 people said Camilla Parker Bowles. It's a correct answer. That means 32 of our 100 people said Camilla Parker Bowles. Well, we're halfway through the round. It's been an interesting round. Let's have a look at the scoreboard. The scores are all very much of a muchness. There's everything to play for in the second half of the round. Obviously, Mina and Deborah looking a bit more vulnerable there on 32, but not much in it. So all of you got to find a really obscure person marrying into the House of Windsor. Right, we're going to come back down the line. Will the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Deborah, we are looking for people who have married into the House of Windsor. You are our high scorers on 32, so you've got to try and find a really obscure, low-scoring answer.
Right, because I've got 2. One of them is quite obscure, but I'm a bit worried in case it doesn't count. But I'm going to go for it anyway, and Mina can hate me. Wallis Simpson.
Very good. If it is a wrong answer, you will score the maximum of 100 points. But let's see how many of our 100 people said Wallis Simpson. Mina won't hate you. It's a good answer. Look at that. Down it goes to 5. That means 5 of our 100 people said Wallis Simpson. That takes your total up to a very impressive 37. Wallis Simpson.
Yes, originally Bessie Wallace Warfield married, of course, Edward VIII, and I believe there was some trouble afterwards. I believe it caused something of a kerfuffle in royal circles. OK, on to Philip.
My knowledge of the royal family is pathetic, so I'm going to have to give a really obvious one, which is, sorry, Phil,
All right.
Sarah Ferguson.
In order to avoid overtaking our high scorers, Deborah and Mina, you have to score 5 or less with Sarah Ferguson. Let's see where that red line is. Oh, there it is, way down there. That's your safety line. Below that line, and you're through to the next round. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Sarah Ferguson. That means 43 of our 100 people said Sarah Ferguson. That brings your total up to 74. That's great news for Mina and Deborah. They are definitely through to the next round. You are now the high scorers, Philip and Phil. Davy, you are currently on 24. To avoid overtaking Philip and Phil on 74, you have to score 49 or less. We are looking for an obscure person to have married into the House of Windsor. What are you going to say?
I can only think of one, because my knowledge of the royals is poor. And I'm going to have to go with Lady Diana Spencer.
I think I've heard of her. There is the red line. If you are below that red line, you are through to the next round. If you are above that red line, it's great news for Philip and Phil, because you then become the high scorers. Okay, let's see how many of our 100, if any of them at all, said Lady Diana Spencer. That means 85 of our 100 people said Lady Diana Spencer. I'm afraid that takes your score up to 109. Great news for Philip and Phil. They are now through to the next round. You are looking very vulnerable there. But it's not over yet. Catherine, to avoid overtaking Davy and Heather's high score of 109, you have to score 80 or less.
Right, well, I've been trying to work out the surname of this person. I'm hoping I've got it right. But Princess Anne was married a second time. So I'm looking at Captain Tim Lawrence.
Oh, that's good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Captain Tim Lawrence. It's good. And you're through. How far is it going to go down? It's going a long way down. That means none of our 100 people said Captain Tim Lawrence. It adds £250 to today's jackpot, taking our total up to £3,500. Very well done, Catherine. So at the end of round 2, the losing pair with the highest score is Heather and Davy. Oh dear. What were you thinking when you said Lady Diana Spencer?
I thought maybe 101 people would probably say it.
Oh dear. Well, never mind. You've been fantastic. But Richard, what answers should they have given? There must have been some pointless answers in there.
These are the answers that none of our 100 people could remember. There are 28 pointless answers, people who married into the royals. Timothy Lawrence, we just had from Louise, who married Anne. Mary Christine von Reibnitz, better known as Princess Michael of Kent. Angus Ogilvie, who married Princess Alexandra. Take a look at a couple more. Well done if you've got any of these at home. Timothy Taylor, who married Lady Helen Windsor. Serena Stanhope, who married Viscount Linley. And Autumn Kelly, who I think last year married Peter Phillips. If we take a look at the worst answers, we've heard all of these. We had the worst 6, in fact, which I think might be a record. Third worst, Mina gave us Camilla Parker Bowles. Philip, you gave us Sarah Ferguson, that was second. And the worst answer of all, Davey, I'm sure you know, Lady Diana Spencer, with 85.
Thanks, Rich. Heather and Davey, that was your second and final chance on the show. You just clearly didn't have the pointless royal knowledge you needed to get through to the final. So I'm afraid we have to say goodbye, but thank you so much for playing. Thank you. Now, obviously, only 2 pairs get to make it through to the head-to-head. So this is your final chance. All of you now need to find those low-scoring answers to stay in the game. Bearing that in mind, the round 3 category is pop music. OK, so who's going first? Who's going second? Right, and whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Let's find out what that question is going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Bee Gees top 40 singles as they could. Very popular choice, Phil and Philip offering up a prayer there. Richard, what does that mean?
We're looking for any Bee Gees single released in the UK that's been in the UK top 40. Not looking for solo singles or songs they wrote for other people. Just the 30 top 40 hits that the Bee Gees have had in the UK. OK, remember, you need to score the fewest points. So you need to give the answer that the fewest of our 100 people said. Right, Louise, we are looking for Bee Gees top 40 singles. Really, really obscure ones.
Well, I know this was sung by someone with a high-pitched voice, so I'm hoping it's the Bee Gees, and I hope it was in the top 40, but I'm going to go for You Should Be Dancing.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said You Should Be Dancing. That's correct. Down it goes. Very good. That means only 2 of our 100 people said You Should Be Dancing. On to our next pair, Philip and Phil. Philip.
Well, my knowledge of Bee Gees music is the same as the royal family. So I'm going to go for one which I don't even know if it is one of theirs, which is Night Fever.
Night Fever is what you are saying. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Night Fever. If it's an incorrect answer, it will score 100 points. It's good. That means 33 of our 100 people said Night Fever. You got away with that, Philip. 33, not a bad score. OK, on to our third and final pair. Deborah, we are looking for Bee Gees' top 40 singles, remember?
I only know 2. I'm hoping Mina knows the other one, because I'm going to go for the slightly less obvious one, but both really obvious. I'm going to go for How Deep Is Your Love.
How Deep Is Your Love? Let's see how many of our 100 people said How Deep Is Your Love? It's correct. Still going down. Not bad. That means 14 of our 100 people said How Deep Is Your Love? You look really surprised there.
Oh, because Take That covered it. I thought everyone would put that one down.
Yeah, they probably took the pressure off there. Everyone probably thought that was a Take That song. They forgot the Bee Gees did it first, maybe. Well, we are halfway through the round. Let's see where we are on the scoreboard. Well, it's a pretty open game at this stage. Louise and Catherine obviously looking very good on 2. Keep up that low scoring and you'll definitely be through to the next round. Philip and Phil, 33. It's not a bad score, but you are out in front there. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Mina, we are looking for Bee Gees' top 40 singles.
Again, my music knowledge with Bee Gees is terrible. I'm more of an R&B, hip-hop type of girl. But I'm going to go with, I think it's a cover, Emotions.
You are currently on 14. To avoid becoming the high scorers and overtaking Phil and Philip, you have to score 18 or less. If Emotions is wrong, it will score you 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Emotions. Bad luck, Mina. Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer. That means you score 100 points. That takes your score up to 114. Philip and Phil. Phil, you've been thrown a massive lifeline there by Mina. To avoid overtaking Mina and Deborah's high score of 114, you have to score 80 or less with this answer. What's it going to be, Phil?
There's only one I know, Alex, really. And I think it's the title of it is Staying Alive.
Staying Alive. There's the red line. If you are below that red line, you are through to the next round. Above that red line, you become the high scorers. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Staying Alive. It's the right answer. Oh, it's good enough. That means 44 of our 100 people said Staying Alive. That gives you a total of 77. That's terrible news for Mina and Deborah. I'm afraid it means you are definitely off the show, because even if Catherine and Louise score the maximum of 100, they still won't overtake your high score of 114. Catherine, you can afford to take a massive punt here. Why not see if you can find a pointless answer and add 250 quid to the jackpot?
Well, I'll have a go. There's a song that was a hit in the olden days, and I'm going to try and say it without getting all my letters mixed up, but I think it was Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Massachusetts. It's a correct answer. That means 20 of our 100 people said Massachusetts. That brings your total up to 22. Well, at the end of round 3, the losing pair with the highest score, I'm afraid, is Mina and Deborah. But that wasn't your area at all.
And I thought Destiny's Child covered it, and I thought it was a Bee Gees song. And we were talking about Bee Gees songs yesterday. And I had Tragedy and Emotions. And I thought, I don't know, I just went with Emotions and it was wrong. But
Oh, well. Richard, what should they have gone for if they wanted to stay in the game?
There were 13 pointless Bee Gees singles. These are the ones that only dogs could hear. Tomorrow. Ironically, don't forget to remember, that's which is the perfect pointless answer you could possibly have. Still Waters was a pointless answer. Well done if you got that at home. For Whom the Bell Tolls, I Could Not Love You More. Jumbo, the singer, sang his song. That was pointless. Let's take a look at the most obvious answers. We've heard all three of them. Louise, you gave us Massachusetts. That was the third most common answer. That beat Tragedy, beat Jive Talking, beat You Win Again. Third most popular. Night Fever is the second most obvious one. Philip, you gave us that. And not to be outdone, Phil, you beat Philip with the most obvious answer of all, and that was Staying Alive.
Very good, thanks, Rich. Mina and Deborah, that was your second and final chance on the show. I'm afraid you just didn't have that pointless Bee Gees knowledge you needed to get through to the final. So we have to say goodbye, but thank you so much for playing. You've been great. Thank you. But for the remaining two pairs, things are about to get even more exciting as we enter the head-to-head. So well done, Philip and Phil, Louise and Catherine. You've made it through to the head-to-head. Now, of course, only one pair can make it through to today's final and play for the jackpot, which currently stands at £3,500. OK, here's how the head-to-head works. You are now allowed to confer. Each team will take turns to give me an answer, and you'll each have an equal number of turns. The first team that accumulates more than 100 points, or the team that goes over 100 by the most, will lose. So, as always, to stay in the game, you want to come up with those facts that everyone else forgot and score as few points as possible. OK, Louise and Catherine, you've done best so far. So not only do you get to decide whether or not you go first, you also get to choose our category, and your choice is between English football or countries of the world. English football?
No, oh, yeah. No.
Countries of the world?
I think we might go
Countries of the world. And would you like to go first or second?
first.
Go on then.
OK, let's play Pointless. OK, let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many countries beginning with B as they could. Richard.
Yeah, we're looking for any country in the world whose English name begins with a B. As always, I say by country, we mean a member of the UN, which is also a sovereign state. The one answer we won't accept is Burma, because Burma also is called Myanmar and it's not universally recognised as Burma. But other than that, any country in the world beginning with B, there are 18 of them.
Thanks very much, Richard. And remember, you don't want to score over 100. OK, you have to score the lowest number of points each time. What are those countries beginning with B that no one else could think of? OK, Louise and Catherine, you're going to go first.
We think we've got one.
OK.
Bolivia.
Bolivia. Philip doesn't like that at all. Wasn't the one he picked, he's just been there, doesn't like it. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Bolivia. It's correct. Not bad, that means 30 of our 100 people said Bolivia. After your first answer, your score is 30. Philip and Phil, we want a really obscure country beginning with B, one that will score you as little as possible.
I'm going to go for Botswana.
OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Botswana. Well, it's correct. Down it goes. I can't fault you for your grouping. That means 29 of our 100 people said Botswana. So after one answer each, Louise and Catherine are on 30, Philip and Phil are on 29. OK, Louise and Catherine, you need to be careful now. Your next answer could possibly take you over 100 and you could be eliminated from the game. We want a really obscure country beginning with B, one that will score you as little as possible. OK, have we come up with an answer?
We have come up with a couple, but we just think they're a bit common, but we're going to go for Belgium.
To avoid going over 100 and risk being eliminated, you have to score 70 or less. You're giving me Belgium. Thank you. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Belgium. It's good. Oh! Louise and Cathy, you have gone over 100 points, but Philip and Phil haven't given their second answer, so it's not all over yet. Philip and Phil, you have got to keep below Louise and Catherine's score of 108. That means you've got to score 78 or less with this answer. If you do, you are through to the final. If you don't, you are off the show. What are you going to give me as your second answer?
Okay, Alex, we had a couple, but we're going to go with Bahrain.
Very good. Here's your red line. If you are below that red line, you are through to the final. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Bahrain. It's good. Very good. Well, you've had 2 turns each, and Louise and Catherine, you've gone over 100 points. I'm afraid that means you are off the show. Oh, bad luck. So, yes, countries beginning with B, not a strong suit for you.
No.
Oh, dear. But, Richard, for now, tell them what they should have gone for.
Well, there were no pointless answers, but there were quite a few very low-scoring ones. At home, if you got any of these, well done. Burundi would have got you 3 points. Burkina Faso would have got you 3 points. And Bhutan would have got you 4. Let's take a look at some of the most obvious ones. Catherine and Louise, you'll recognise one of these. Third worst thing you could have said was Bulgaria. Second worst was Brazil. And by a mile, they'll be delighted with this. It's Belgium.
Go for Brazil.
OK, Louise and Catherine, you've wasted one of your chances to get to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. Thanks so much for playing. So, congratulations, Philip and Phil. It's only your first time on the show, and you've already made it to the end of Pointless. You've fought off all the competition, and you've won our coveted Pointless trophy. Now you've got a chance to win our Pointless jackpot. At the end of today's show, the jackpot total stands at £3,500. Well, the rules are very simple. To win the money, all you have to do is find a pointless answer that none of our 100 people could think of. Now, we've only had one pointless answer on the show today. We just have to hope you can find one now. First, though, you've got to choose a category from these 3 options, and you can go for modern art, Hollywood stars,
isn't it?
or Shakespearean characters. What are you going to go for?
Hollywood stars.
Hollywood stars. OK, let's find out what the question is. So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many films starring Angelina Jolie as they could. You look overjoyed. Philip, Richard?
We're looking for any feature film made for cinema release where Angelina Jolie is credited as an actor or an actress. We're not looking for TV films, short films, films that have yet to be released, or films where she appears as herself, but voice performances do count. She has released 31 films.
OK, you now have up to 1 minute to come up with 3 answers. All you need to win that £3,500 is for just one of those answers to be pointless, OK? Your 60 seconds start now.
OK, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Right, go on, remember that one. I don't know any.
The one with the guns that they made the PlayStation game out of. You know where she goes into she plays a character with the guns and everything. Looks really.
What's one for this?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Was she in any of the Mission Impossible? No?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. She could have done. The one where she's got like the shorts on and everything, and it's really, with the big guns and everything.
Yeah.
What's it called? A
futuristic one. Cowboy.
No. She like goes into like a game, I think, if I remember right. I never watched it, but I remember seeing the picture. She goes into a game and it's like an arcade game, I think.
Any more other than that one?
I'm just trying to think Angelina Jolie. Oh, shit. Whatever you can think of. We're struggling. Name one on sport.
Yeah.
OK, that's it. That's your minute up. Right, I want 3 answers from you.
Right, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
The one with the guns I've just remembered. I think it's Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
Can we have 1 and 2? Are we allowed one? Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2?
Very good. We will go with Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Can't think of any others.
Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider 2. Good luck. Let's put them up on the board. So, the answers you're giving are Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider 2, The Cradle of Life. We are looking for feature films starring Angelina Jolie. Okay, let's go with your first answer, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This for the jackpot of £3,500. This has to be a pointless answer. Down it goes. £3,500. Sadly not. That means 39 of our 100 people said it, so unfortunately it's not a pointless answer. You only have 2 more chances to win today's jackpot. We are looking for feature films starring Angelina Jolie. Your second answer is Tomb Raider. This has to be a pointless answer. Okay, let's see how many of our 100 people said Tomb Raider. Well, I'm sorry, I'm afraid 45 of our 100 people said that. So that also is not a pointless answer. That means everything is now riding on your third and final answer. We are looking for feature films starring Angelina Jolie. You have said Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, Tomb Raider 2. This has to be a pointless answer, otherwise you are leaving with nothing. This is your last chance for a pointless answer for our jackpot of £3,500. This has to be pointless. Off it goes. For £3,500, this has to be a pointless answer. Still going down. Oh! 15.
15.
Unfortunately, you didn't manage to find that all-important pointless answer, so you don't win today's jackpot of £3,500. Now the pressure's off. You thinking of any others?
To be fair, no, I'm not. I can't think of any of those, Alex.
You see, she's very well known, isn't she?
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
very well known.
Yeah, very
I'm
well.
not sure I can think of any of her films.
No.
Well, Richard, put us out of our misery.
Well, you've given us a unique achievement of sorts, because those 3 were the 3 most obvious answers, and we have never had that before on any point. So well done. That's something, yeah. If you're not going to win, at least you might as well
Lose
not win
badly.
spectacularly. There were 13 pointless answers, unlucky for you guys. Let's take a look at some of them. Well done if you've got any of these at home. Alexander, she was in with Colin Farrell and Hopkins. The Good Shepherd, which is out recently. Pushing Tin would have been a pointless answer. Looking to Get Out, Without Evidence, Mojave Moon. I think the most surprising pointless answer of all, A Mighty Heart was a pointless answer, would have won you the money.
That hasn't really helped at all, has it?
Not at all.
No.
We've had a great day, Alex.
Yeah, it's been
We've had a really
fantastic,
good day.
Fantastic. Well, you've been fantastic contestants. Well done. You made it through to the final. Can't say fairer than that. Well, nobody's won our jackpot today, so it rolls over again, which means next time we'll be playing for £4,500. Join us then to see if someone can win it on Pointless. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from Richard.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me. Goodbye.